can keep going, or if you want to turn off your camera or anything, please feel free to do so. But we encourage you to leave them on so we can see all of your faces. It's so great to see you all. So yeah, I'm honored to be the MC for this open house and funder recognition event to honor this newly renovated center and youth leadership space. So I first want to recognize Maggie Cummings, who is from Curve Lake First Nation, and she is the TRAC's Otaquidgeon Youth Leadership Program Coordinator. That's the Trent Aboriginal Culture, Knowledge and Science Center, that or youth program that is here at Trent that we share this amazing space with. And she wanted to share a few words to begin the event today. So she said, "I would like to extend my congratulations to the opening of the center. I am so excited to see the good work and relationships that will come from this new space. It's so critical in healthy ways of being for spaces like this to be available. And even more special when the space has the intersectionality like KWIC. We really appreciate your words, Maggie, and are definitely going to live up to those words and continue to build these good relationships and this intersectional work. I also want to recognize the other student groups that we share this space with. So the TRAC's youth program in general that Maggie is working with, the Trent Oxfam group, Sustainable Trent, the Youth Leadership and Sustainability group, and international students and youth that all share this space together. We're really excited to welcome you in. And before we start, I want to share a few more things. I thought it was really important to remind us of the 7 sacred or grandfather teachings that is the foundation of local Indigenous ways of life and our blueprint really on how to build a good, healthy life. So those 7 sacred teachings, the first one is wisdom. It's a gift from the Creator. It's used for the good of the people and when dealing with important matters such as the issues that we are all working towards solving. Demonstrating love. Love is the second one. It means that we must first love ourselves before we can show love. Those who are able to demonstrate love in this way are at peace with themselves. The third is respect. And that develops when one takes the time to establish a deeper relationship with the other. This concept of respect extends to all of creation. In order to receive respect, one must give respect. We need to be brave. Brave is the fourth one. In order to do the right thing, we must be brave even if the consequences are unpleasant. It takes moral courage to be able to stand up for those things that are not right. The fifth one is honesty. It takes bravery to be honest in our words and our actions. One needs to be honest first and foremost with oneself. Practicing honesty within oneself makes it easier to be honest with others. The sixth is humility. Humility is to know your place within creation and know that all forms of life are equally important. We need to show compassion, care, and concern for all of creation. Truth is the final sacred teaching, but not the least. Truth is to know all of these things. All of these teachings go hand in hand, and it's important to be truthful to yourself and others. If you'd like to learn more about the 7 grandfather teachings, which we hope to uphold in this space and to guide us in being here together, you can read more at the link that will be put in the chat. Thank you to the KWIC team who is navigating the chat today. So if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, please feel free to put those in the chat. And I also want to share some words that I put together, which is kind of like a land acknowledgement, but more in depth than that, I guess. So we wanted to have Maggie here because she's from Curve Lake First Nations, and it's really important to have people who are from that nation, Michisagi, Anishinaabe, to share that with us. But unfortunately, she has to take care of herself today, so she can be with us, but I'm so glad that she's doing that for herself. So for First Nations, it's an important custom to be formally welcomed into the nation's territory where we gather. That's one of the customs where the concept of land acknowledgements is rooted. It's also rooted in our relationships to this place. I was taught that when we come together, we acknowledge the spirit of the air, land, and water where we are that holds us and nourishes us. We offer our gratitude to them for giving us life and allowing us to be here doing this good work. On behalf of KWIC, the Court of World Issues Center, I offer my gratitude to the Chippewa and Michisagi Anishinaabe for their good relationships with this territory since time immemorial. I acknowledge that we live in their territory through colonization under Treaty 20 and the Williams Treaties. I acknowledge the history of these treaties and their detriment to the Anishinaabe and their ability to live their way of life with this land Creator placed them upon. I acknowledge your original laws and customs and the natural laws that belong to this place, and will do my best to follow them as a good treaty partner and visitor to this territory. I invite you to think about the First Nations and ancestors where you are from and offer your gratitude to them for caring for this place since time immemorial. I also invite you to reflect on the treaties from where you are. What are your roles and responsibilities and rights as a treaty person, if you're Indigenous rights? I invite you and challenge you to continue to think and learn about the answers to these questions. We all have to start somewhere, and we all have to keep learning. This learning journey can and probably should be uncomfortable when we think about the horrors of this historical and ongoing impacts of colonization and genocide, as we honored all day yesterday. This knowledge of our history and where we are, this truth is the very foundation of reconciliation. We are all treaty people, and as such, we all have a responsibility to learn and do better. We must learn from Indigenous peoples themselves, since this is the only way we can ever know and understand the truth, and truth is necessary for reconciliation. Yeah. I continue to learn the truth about Nokojiwanong, Peterborough, by listening to the elders and knowledge keepers and community members from here through the stories that have been kept safe by oral tradition. I spend time with different people from here and learn from those relationships. I also learned through the book by Genega Mikize, Elder Doug Williams from Curve Lake First Nation, called Michisagi Anishinaabe, This is Our Territory. He shares stories from his family of the salmon run in the Otonabe River, of legendary hunters fleeing from park rangers, of their understanding of the treaties, and much more. I really appreciate Genega Mikize for sharing his knowledge in such a generous way. I want to stand in solidarity, and on behalf of KWIC, we want to stand in solidarity with the First Nations here who continue to revitalize the language and culture and fight for justice and decolonization within their homelands. We don't have any more time to be too afraid or polite to learn or speak the truth. Once we know better, we must do better, speak the truth, and take action. These values in this journey are for all peoples living in so-called Canada because they are necessary for the continuation of life, the learning and upholding of truth and justice. Through this understanding, we orient ourselves within this context to do better and recognize there's no neutral engagement in our work. We must intentionally engage in each and every space in a way that will allow us to take back lessons, tools, and knowledge to better support and stand in solidarity with Indigenous nations. Let us continue to do this good work, and let's remember to celebrate our successes and our resilience, and also remember to rest when we have done enough. Chumigwech. Thank you, everyone. And I want to acknowledge my good friend, Sarah Lewis, who is here with us today, who's Michisagi Anishinaabe, and who has also just joined us as the communications specialist, which I'm very excited to announce and excited to work with you, Sarah. So with that, Chumigwech, and I want to hand things over to Priscilla Bono, KWIC's Board of Directors member. Thank you so much, Priscilla.
Hello, everybody. So for those who don't know me, my name's Priscilla. I've been a part of KWIC for 2 years now, starting as a volunteer, then becoming a member of the board. And for someone moving to a new province as a student, KWIC became an organization that has welcomed me into the community of Trent and the city of Peterborough. I've met so many people who are deeply connected to KWIC and have had the privilege to educate and learn amongst them. Thus, I am grateful that KWIC has received the opportunity to update their space and to welcome more students that may share the same experience as me. With that said, on behalf of KWIC, I would like to thank the Ontario Trillium Foundation, an agency of the Government of Ontario, for their generous grant that has allowed KWIC to renovate the center to become more of a welcoming and accessible space for youth leaders in the present and future. Furthermore, I would also like to thank Trent University and community partners, LETT Architects for the architectural design, Mortlock Construction for coordinating the renovation, and to Borough Peterborough. I would also like to thank Sarah and Megan of Frolic Designs for KWIC's rebranding. Finally, thank you to all the guests and speakers for coming to celebrate the renovations of the center. Shaylin, you're muted.
Yeah, my volume was off. Hi, we will now, thank you so much, Priscilla. We really appreciate you honoring this and sharing words from the board. And we are now excited to hear from our Resource Center facilitator, Jocelyn Whalen.
Hi everyone, welcome to the KWIC EYE Education, Youth and the Environment Center, our newly renovated center. Come with me, I want to give you a small tour. So, as you can see, a lot of things have changed here thanks to the generous donations and funds. As you can see, we have some beautiful plants that we now have arranged around the center. Some of those were bought at Tiny Greens in Peterborough. Also, we have this beautiful new furniture. As you can see, this beautiful wood table and couch. Very nice studying space. Over here, we have our movable tables that are great for studying, for groups and organizations to use as well for meetings and events. And we have this great new television that would be perfect for film screenings and meetings and events as well. We are so looking forward to having you here, and hopefully in the next few weeks we can have visitors in the center. So please stay tuned, and thank you so much for coming today. I really look forward to welcoming you to the center soon.
You want to show the lending library?
I will show you the library also. How could I forget? This is our library. So we have this amazing collection of resources. Some of them are divided also into children's books, books for the education department, and books for the environmental science department and studies department. We have reference materials, we have publications. Some of these publications were made by students and faculty at Trent. And most of our resources are based on social justice in some way or another. Some of the categories that we have are environment, climate change, Indigenous knowledge and education, and oppression as well, racism are just some of the categories that we have here. We're also going to be posting these resources online very soon. I also want to mention our great new lighting that we have in here and what we call the breakfast bar. And it goes right out into the greenhouse here at Trent School of the Environment, also the Environmental Science Building. Thank you so much. It's so great to see you all, and I'm really looking forward to welcoming you here one day soon, hopefully.
Wow, what a great space. We're so excited to welcome you in here. Thank you so much, Jocelyn, for the rundown of the space and all that's changed. I hope it wasn't too shaky. I drank a bit too much coffee this morning. So going right along, I didn't introduce myself as so I'm the KWIC Program and Outreach Coordinator here at, here. So there is a few projects that I want to just have a quick overview to give you an idea of what I do and what the team does on a daily basis. So just really quickly running over the Sustainable Development Goals project. So that was a year-long project last year in partnership with Green Up. And we identified 5 priority areas in our community the year prior in 2019. And based on those priorities that were identified by so many different actors and community members, we built the project around that. And it was also around the idea of leaving no one behind. And the Sustainable Development Goals, firstly, are a United Nations framework for how to achieve peace and prosperity in a global context. And we worked to make that happen on a local level through different organizations and partnerships and folks that are already doing such amazing work in the community. So with the 5 identified areas that we want to further in our community that were most important to us, the first one was Indigenous leadership, and that's what led the entire project. We had 2 Indigenous consultants from Curve Lake First Nation, Ann Taylor and Gary Pritchard, and also the elder advisor, Phyllis Williams, prior chief of Curve Lake First Nation as well. So they helped lead the project. And then we also had 5 action teams that were based on the 5 priority areas. So the first one being Indigenous leadership. They always met first and identified what's happening in the community around the other 4 priority areas. And then informed those other groups. So they were made out of about 10 community members who are working to further those. So the other 4 were specific SDGs. SDG number 1, no poverty. SDG number 5, quality education. SDG number 6, clean water and sanitation, and SDG 13, climate action. And so there was project reports that were created out of their work together, and they identified good work that's already happening in the community and mapped that, created an asset map in our community for that. And we created final reports based on those 5 priority action teams, and then an Indigenous collaborative programming report from the Indigenous consultants. And then finally, a final project report, which is all available online if you're interested. And then we have workshops that we present to youth in schools. So the workshops were focused on the Sustainable Development Goals, what those mean, what leaving no one behind means. So that really means the people who are furthest left behind because of discrimination and of various factors that intersect with one another. We focus on what that means and educating people and like uplifting those people. And then, those workshops. So Margaret Zhao, big shout out to Margaret, one of our staff members who and the rest of the team who delivered these workshops in schools. They outreached to over 600 students, which is amazing, over in COVID virtually. And then we will also be developing new workshops that will be focused on climate change and the intersections of climate change and gender equality. For our next project that I'm going to just touch upon quickly, advancing gender equality, which is SDG number 5 in Nova-Junong, Peterborough. So that is a year-long project this year from March till next March. And we are just in a phase now. We have an amazing steering team. Shout out to Reem, who's here, also on our board, and she's on the committee. So we have multiple people on that committee who are guiding the work of that gender equality project, which is really to engage a bunch of local women and gender diverse people and ask them about their experience in Peterborough and the different people and organizations that support them, and figuring out how we can advance that together and hear from those voices who are most often left behind. So yeah, out of that project with a lot of engagement, we're going to share that work at our International Women's Day event, our annual event. And yeah, that will be more information about that will be coming soon. And we'll be sharing that work with youth in schools through those workshops as well, which we're really excited about. So those are some of the projects that we've been up to that we're working on right now. Thank you so much for listening. And another person who has been really instrumental in the gender equality project, who's also working with us, has been working with us since the summer. Will Ward, he's our youth facilitator, and has been working on a gender equality. I think it's an index, and I just want to invite Will to share about that, but I don't see him in the crowd right now. So unfortunately, he can't be here to talk about his equity index, that's what it is, and Black Art Archive. Thank you. So we miss you, Will, and hope you're doing well. And I would next like to invite our youth speaker of the evening, Malika Collette, from the Peterborough Youth Empowerment. Thank you so much, Malika, who also just got onboarded with us. Welcome, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Shaylin, and it's great to be here and see everyone here today. So my name is Malika Collette. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm really excited to be starting as the program facilitator here at KWIC. I'm so excited to begin working with all of you on some of the SDG programs Shay just mentioned, and some other community events that we're excited to begin planning for this fall. So I just graduated high school last year from Adam Scott, and I'm currently taking a gap year to focus on my climate activism here in Peterborough and hopefully farther abroad as well. So what really got me involved in activism, which I've now been doing nearly full time for the last few years, is the Youth Leadership and Sustainability program that Shaylin mentioned at the start, which is one of the community partners that will be sharing KWIC space and that KWIC supports. So YLS is a one-semester program based out of Trent University that empowers high school students to begin taking action on issues like climate change, and really gave me the tools to take action in ways that I'd never been able to do so before. So it's a program all about leadership and getting involved in the community. So it really provided me with the opportunities to connect with groups like KWIC and connect with community partners to begin outreaching and connecting and learning from community people that are experts in the field. And I was really able to step outside of my comfort zone and begin taking action in ways that I hadn't before. So since that program provided me those tools, I've been lucky enough to be involved in groups like KWIC in Peterborough, as well as organizing on a national and international level for various different groups and campaigns. So I'm so excited that YLS is a partner with KWIC and able to share this space, and for all that I learned in it to be where I am today. And I'm really excited to be with KWIC now and to start connecting with all of you in the community. And I look forward to meeting some of you hopefully in the near future. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Malika. It's so wonderful to have you with us. Your passion and drive and your, all the things that you do, you're amazing. So it's great to have you on the team. I would like to hand things over to Serena Garcia, our education facilitator. Serena's been with us for a long time in a number of capacities. We really appreciate you, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Shay, and thank you everyone who's spoken so far. And the energy in this space right now, like I really wish I were there with you guys. So as Shay mentioned, I'm Serena Garcia. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm so honored to close our gathering in a good way. I wanted to start by saying that working at the Fourth World Issues Center these past 2 years has shown me in so many ways how community can come together to heal through the wounds of injustice. And while I recognize that the social, cultural, economic, political, and environmental wounds run so deep with complex intersections of virtually any injuncture you can imagine, It's through the support of KWIC and the community as our backbone that makes this challenging healing process both fulfilling and hopeful. And I believe that the opening of the KWIC EYE is a testament of our growth and that ongoing fulfillment. Through the work that we do, we often see the challenges of global issues grow larger and run deeper, but we are also seeing how the connections we foster here to build our global relationships and partnerships stretch even further in response. At KWIC, I continue to be amazed by the effective power that love and hope have in driving our capacity to innovate solutions. And I believe this is only possible because our creative capacity grows when we foster real human connections to address real problems. The challenges we face today call us to grow our capacity to love one another and hold space for each other's uniqueness with compassion, empathy, and acceptance. So as we close this event for today, I thank all of you. My gratitude is only a small gesture of the immense appreciation that our team holds for seeing you here with us, and extends even further to all the channels of support that make it possible for us to continue doing the work that we do. So as you go on with your afternoons, my hope is that after listening to the incredible youth who have presented today, you take what resonates, you leave what doesn't, and remember that you are always, always welcome to connect with KWIC. Our work is here to support our community, just as our community has demonstrated their support for us. Thank you, and miigwech.